अस्सलाम वालेकुम तलहा, क्या हाल है आपके?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मैं ठीक ठाक, आप सुनाएं?
मैं भी ठीक हूँ. Welcome to Campus2Career.
Thank you so much. So good to talk to you today.
Wonderful. So I wanted to start by letting you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your professional journey so far.
So I'm Talha, from Pakistan, born and raised in Kohat, moved to Peshawar, Islamabad, then France. So a bit about where I am today. I've been working in a couple of startups for the last few years. I have masters in management from a French and a Swiss business school. So I've had a double degree. So I studied at HEC Paris in France and University of St. Gallen in Switzerland. And initially I wanted to work in management consulting, but then throughout my journey and speaking to different consultants, I realized careers in tech could be an interesting areas that I should explore. And my projects were related to tech developments, tech changes in different companies, and so I enjoyed doing them, and I just sort of focused on working in tech. And I worked in gaming for a year, then went to fintech for a couple of years, जिसमें मैंने सादा पे में पाकिस्तान की टीम के साथ काम किया, फिर उसके बाद एक और fintech payment gateway के project पे काम किया. Then I switched to AI tech startup from based out of LA, based out of San Francisco actually. Or uske baad, I've been trying a couple of my own things. I worked in gaming again for a while, working on a couple of AI projects. Currently involved in 2 projects. So this is my journey recently, but I did my bachelor's in Pakistan. Nurse se maine padha tha 2012 to 2016, where I was involved in a couple of things there as well. But happy to explore and deep dive in some of them over this call.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So how was your transition from Pakistan to moving to Paris?
So it started a bit earlier than I actually moved. So जो मेरे bachelor's था 4 साल का, during that I got involved in an organization called ISEC. So I was part of ISEC. I just wanted to join some of my friends, so I just joined them, and I was just there, and I enjoyed being with those friends. We had a few conferences, so traveling around the country. And then ISEC used to have a program, it still does, that you can go on exchanges abroad, like foreign students can come to Pakistan for their internships. So I wanted to do that. Within ISEC, I got involved in different projects. I eventually became the vice president and president of ISEC in Islamabad. Right now, it's split into, I believe, ISEC in Islamabad and ISEC in Nust. Back then, it was one unit, so I was presiding that. Once I got done with it, I applied for lots of internship opportunities. It's hard to get internships, especially professional internships, because they're volunteer programs and then professional internships. Because obviously you're competing globally for any role. I recall I applied to like over 170 internships.
Wow.
Because obviously, it's cold applications, so rejections hoti hain automatically, system rejections, people rejections, and obviously there are a lot of filters. Visa restrictions hoti hain kyunki kuch countries ke liye mushkil hota hai Pakistani passport holder ko lena. So I knew it, but I just kept applying. I made it to last rounds in a couple of organizations. There was a PwC role in somewhere in Germany, and then there was another role here in Paris, which is the one which I took. But this is the route I took. There are lots of different routes. Some people come directly to do their jobs, but I think that is the hardest way, because obviously, again, you're competing with everyone. Tougher. Then others take the route of coming abroad to do their masters, and then starting their careers. I think this is the easiest route. I had something in between, which was an internship role. I took that internship. It was supposed to be 6 to 12 months, and then another extension for 6 months, which was the maximum period of internships according to French law, 12 months, 18 months, sorry. Or फिर उसके बाद either I had to join that company as a full-time sort of contractor or do my masters. I chose the route of masters, so did a couple of years of masters, and that sort of gave me the opportunity to stay longer.
That's wonderful. And I think ये इतनी known बात नहीं है कि you can apply for internships and that can lead to you moving abroad or going abroad. Mostly people are aware of masters or just landing a job, which I think especially landing a job is very difficult because like you mentioned, you're competing globally. और दूसरा मसला ये भी होता है कि even if opportunities do arise, they prefer people who have visas, which
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I think obviously, first of all, job market in any situation at any time is tough to navigate because so many filters on ATS, now AI filtering out the applications. Each application is sort of like a lot of people apply, so it's like hundreds of applications. So naturally, if there's any weakness in your application, and it doesn't have to be your profile, it could be your where you are right now. If you're in a different city, if you're in a different country, if there's visa restrictions, it's always going to be tough. So I think this master's route is probably the easiest, and I think the best route because you get the exposure of the country, of the people, of the systems to better navigate and to choose what you want to do.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So while you were applying for internships, what do you think made you stand out that led to you landing the interviews or the opportunities that you did?
Yeah, so it's so usually internships are early stage in the sense that you don't have a lot of professional experience.
Yeah.
It's all right. So you have to compensate it elsewhere. You need to sort of so you need to get involved in different types of courses in your universities if you have the option to take like optional courses which are relevant to those fields. That's always helpful. Obviously, the stronger your academic background, the better. And what I mean is that it does matter where you are studying to a certain extent.
Okay. Yeah.
In some sort of countries, some fields, not everywhere. So that's one thing. Then what program are you doing? How relevant is that? So that's one part of the equation. But then there's lots of other things. And I think if you can't change the first one, you can change a lot in the other parts. And what is like your co-curriculars, how involved are you in your co-curriculars, any projects that you have done, any other internships opportunities that you have done, anything you have built or started, any learnings that you have done online. So I think it's a mix of all those different things. In my case, what helped me in my situation was that, okay, I had like a good academic background from NUST, but it didn't really matter because, again, no one here knows your sort of depends on the country. But like, for example, in France, no one knows any Pakistani university because obviously there are not many Pakistanis coming here. Or even other continental European countries to that extent. So for that matter. So what happens is I couldn't, you can't do much there, but I had like my 3 to 4 years of co-curricular activities in around university. I was involved in ISEC, as I mentioned. So that's 3 or 4 years of experience, which allowed me to also have that international exposure. छोटी छोटी चीजें होती हैं, बात कैसे करनी है, कन्वर्सेशन कैसे चलानी है, how to present yourself in the interview. So my idea is that the more exposure you get, the better you position yourself in conversations with people. And at the end of the day, obviously there is a first barrier. You need to land a job interview or an internship interview or a university application interview. But then a lot comes down to the way you talk about yourself, the way you talk about your projects, the way you talk about impact of your projects, and the way you talk about how motivated you are for this role and what value you bring to this role.
Yeah.
So this is what I would suggest, people doing, and this is what helped me land those interviews.
Yeah, I think those are very important, that besides your technical skills, you need to polish on your soft skills as well. And I think, like you mentioned, the greater the exposure, the more, I think, better equipped you are in dealing with those situations. I'm going to start with like a cliche question related to like product management, that, what's the difference between a project manager and a product manager?
Yeah, it's a good question. To oversimplify initially for the sake of conversation is like project management is very broad in the sense that anything you do is basically a project.
Hmm.
You manage it in a way that you move different pieces from one step to another. You draw a plan. You involve the stakeholders. You keep them informed, and you just basically keep track of things. If problems arise, you solve them. You move ahead. So this is what project management is. And product management is like sort of, I would say, um, primarily it's a relatively newer field. In that context, project management has been happening for like
A really long time.
really long time. I think since the humanity began, I think we have been doing project management. Whereas product management is more of a modern field, especially digital product management, and that's usually what we refer to when we talk about product management. Because there have been like other product managements as well, like physical goods, like in luxury you have like bags or watches. So they also sometimes call it product management or sometimes portfolio management. But I would say digital product management is a newer field. What you do in digital product management is you try to understand the problems at hand of users of any particular group that you are building for. You try to get as close to the problem, as close to the user as possible. You create that level of empathy to understand what needs to be solved, and only then you move towards building something that solves it. So I think that's one of the roots of product management that should be there throughout the sort of life cycle of product development. And once you are there, once you know what the problem is, once you have defined it, once you have sort of broken it down, I think that's what we call problem solving. That you have a big sort of a mess, and what you do is you turn it into smaller chunks of pieces, and you say, okay, these are the 5 to 6 areas or root causes for this problem. And I think if we tackle this particular root cause or this one, it will solve the problem to a greater extent. And then you try to brainstorm towards a solution. It could be sometimes a tech product or a new feature, or even small tweak or whatever it is. And then you sort of go towards solving that. And obviously then you also take those principles of project management, which is like involving the stakeholders, keeping everyone involved, moving bits and pieces towards achieving that goal. So it's more like, I would say, more of a cycle, more of a connection to the root cause, more of a connection and empathy towards the person experiencing the problem. That's what, for me, in my definition, differentiates product management for project management. But it obviously is going to be different for everyone.
Nice. So, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about product management?
So, the biggest misconception is people believe that it's basically moving tickets, keeping notes, just organized. So, what I mean by moving tickets is like different organizations or different cultures, organizational cultures have different way of looking at product management. For instance, some companies will be using, or startups will be using, Jira boards. Some will be using linear boards. So there are different tools that there are. Some would be using Monday or whatever tool. Some would be just using Notion, and that's also okay. And tickets are basically, imagine you have a board, and there are different styles of solving the problem. So for example, let's say we are building a product incrementally. Again, there are 2 ways of building product. Wouldn't go into details, but like, for instance, there's a waterfall, which is like, okay, I do this thing first, and this, and then there's an incremental that, let's build this product. Like, so where boss of waterfall is that I know I have to build a car, but first I need to build a body and then this engine and whatever. Whereas incremental is more like, I'll make a very basic version first, and then I'll add, which will be usable, and then I'll keep adding things on top of it. So let's look as an example of this incremental product development, and take an example. Let's talk about some examples. So any app, we can take any app that people might be using. Let's take Spotify. People are using Spotify. So if I am a product manager at Spotify, we will be doing incremental development. And let's say there is a new feature that I'm introducing in Spotify, and that's let's say that these are games, and I'm trying to develop games on Spotify platform. So the misconception that people have is that, okay, I will make a list of features that should be in the gaming platform on Spotify. Let's say talking to some game developers, then obviously making games and shortlisting lists of games. So I just make a whole list of things I'll do, and then all I have to do is ask my engineer to do it. Okay, that's done. Good. Next step, do this, do this. So that is not how product management is. It's more involved. You need to be able to. You need to be very flexible in changing things. You might make a roadmap, but it almost never sticks. Like, you always have to make changes. Your priorities change. Things change, take more time sometimes, and they take less time. So you need to be very closely involved with everything. It's not, your job is not to move the tickets or like tasks from one, planned to in progress to complete state. It's far more deeper. It's like being connected to the user, to the problem, to your engineering, to design, to data team, and other stakeholders.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So I think you have also been involved in the recruitment process when it comes to product management roles. So, what does that process look like, especially if you are, internationally applying to roles?
Yeah. So nowadays, wherever you apply, you'll have to be very patient. And the reason for that is that almost all rounds will take 3 to 5. All applications will take 3 to 5 rounds. So first, usually it's the application that you send in the application. Then you have an interview with the HR. That's the first level of filter, like first 2 levels of filters. And then usually it's like a couple of interviews. Sometimes they are focused on divided between soft skills and hard skills. I'll talk about those in product management. Sometimes it's about a technical round, and then another problem solving round or whatever it is. And then usually the culture fit round. Sometimes it happens with the leadership, or even to in some companies with the CEO. So these are 4 to 5 different levels, rounds that you have to be ready for. A lot of companies now are introducing problem-solving case study rounds. So I think these are also what you should be aware of. So what I would say is the first and foremost step is that you need to have a good resume built. A lot of our young students or graduates, or even sometimes experienced people, have their resumes more in form of the tasks that they have done. For instance, I'll give you an example. Or they put their job descriptions in their resumes. For example, if I was a product manager, and I worked on the growth squad, this is what I was doing. And in the growth squad, we had different pieces that we were owning, like say rewards and referral program, and waitlist management. So if it was a bad resume, I would have written product manager of a growth squad, responsible for rewards and referral program, responsible for XYZ program. But if I make it an achievement-based resume, so this is the word that people have to Google, and this is what people need to build. You can find a lot of resources on that. So all you have to do is make your resume achievement-based. So rather than saying, product manager of this, responsible for this, I would say managed a wait list with over 4 million signups. And introduce rewards and referral program to onboard XYZ number of users, for example. So obviously, if you look at my resume, it will be far better and more detailed. I would mention the numbers. So then it's it's the scope is visible, because I could be managing the wait list, but it might be 100 people. I could be managing a wait list which has 4 million people. I need to somehow express that. I need to express what impact it was. Like, for instance, imagine I introduced, like in my gaming area, I worked on some games, introduced some changes, but what was the impact? So I have to say that I managed 4 games with over 100 million players or users, and introduced different, whatever I introduced, and increased the lifetime value over these 4 games for over 15%. So now any recruiter or any hiring manager knows that, okay, this is the impact, that this person has worked on a portfolio with 100 million plus users and has brought like additional 15% profits for the company. So this is what I would say is the first step of your resume, that a lot of people, I think every single person has to do it almost every single phase of application. What I mean by phase of application is, imagine I'm applying in January. So when I apply again later in August, I need to sit back, reflect, make changes, make it achievement based, active, like, so using active verbs. So this is the first and foremost. I think 90% of the people who would be listening to you right now would have to do this. And not many people do this. Once you have cleared this, then you land the interviews. Again, landing interviews, sometimes it's through cold applications. Sometimes you have to work in your network, and that's getting more and more common, that you need to speak to people that you have worked with. You need to connect with people over LinkedIn. Don't just connect and ask them to refer to something. Just speak to them, connect with them, seek advice, build your network. And the best network is built when you don't need something from them. So that when later on, if you could help them, if you could bring value to them, or you need some value, you can, you are at that point where you can do that. So I think these are the 2 ways of landing those job interviews. So you had your resume well done, regardless of whether you take the first route of cold applications or second route of, speaking to people. Once you are past that, you need to be well aware of first talking about your experiences, expressing how those experiences will bring value to whatever role it is, but also be very, very prepared for other technical sort of rounds. In product management, a lot of them is case interviews. So you should again talk about, you should look into case practices. I know I'm sure there are lots of online resources available, but how you structure the case, like you'll be given a problem statement. So how you break that problem, sort of define the problem, then define the structure of solving the problem, communicating that structure that you have, then obviously using data to make informed decisions, and then giving the conclusion of the case. So just going through this learning phase, it will take a lot of time. I would say, it needs some practice. I would say at least a month of practice to sort of get familiarized and get stronger. So I would say these are a few things that are essential. If you don't have them in today's world, it will be impossible to land a product management role.
And I think something that people don't usually do, like you mentioned, they don't mention the impact in their resumes. And the second is, I don't think people prepare for case studies. They think that, we'll just do it on the go or wing it, which I think is an underestimation, because it does require to be in that frame of mind and to be ready to think in that way, right?
Exactly.
It definitely does need preparation, just like we prepare for, other technical roles.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. Okay. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about AI and how that has changed your day to day, or just generally product management roles altogether. Some people even say that these roles are now being eliminated because of AI. What is your opinion on that?
I would say they're not eliminated, or it's too early to say that they're eliminated. Are they being transformed 100%? So I think product management just 3 years ago, 2 years ago, was way different from what it is right now.
Yeah.
So that's something what people need to know. Because initially what we used to do was, like, back in the day, you would have any product idea. If you had any, if you had to put it on paper, you would have a very rough sketch of wireframes. sometimes drawn on paper, sometimes like drawn on online tools, white background, black lines. This is how the phone would look, and this is on the top right corner. This is what we had. Like, if you had to present your vision, these are the routes you would take. Nowadays, getting that is very, very fast. You have got online tools. You can use like Cloud Design. You can use Lovable. Lots of online tools that let you define your vision very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So I think that has definitely, so the pace has definitely changed. For example, if I had to define a product requirement document, which they call PRD, which has like, okay, what should the product have? It would take me obviously a bit of time to write that down. Now you can do that very quickly in AI. But obviously, you need to understand how you give prompts, for instance. These are very basic things I'm talking about right now that you need to be very well versed in to get or to extract value from any AI tool. So prompt management is very, very important. What kind of information you can give, what kind of negative prompt that you have to add, that, okay, I want this, but not this, and definitely not this thing in this particular output that you will give me. So I think this is very basic level of AI literacy that you need to have. Then obviously there is a second level, which is like a lot of engine. So it's like things are converging for me. Initially, for instance, product managers and engineers were a bit far in their sort of day-to-day job. Because engineer was the one coding everything, and product manager was sort of defining what to be built. This was when it started, But then eventually they moved towards closer to each other. They started working closer to each other. So a product manager would speak to the users, but would also have that tech literacy to understand what can be done quicker than the other thing. And engineer would also understand why we are doing this. So this was already happening in good cultures of product management.
Yeah.
But now they're even converging further. Like a product manager can quickly get the designs or the product made, at least a basic structure, through these tools. Same for a designer, they can quickly do these things. Whereas an engineer, because at the pace where they can ship products, have more time on their hands to sort of go towards that understanding of why this has to be built or what's the problem that they're solving. So there's this convergence where like some companies are looking for forward deployed engineers, whereas some companies are looking for their product managers to be able to ship features or products on top. So I would say this basic literacy every single employee needs to have, but then you need to skill up a bit further. You need to be able to ship products. You need to be able to understand, okay, this is a product that, and I'm talking about usable products, like it should be deployed, like it should be designed, developed, and deployed so people can test it. I don't expect every product manager to sort of develop a product that will serve people at scale, like millions of users, because there are other layers in between that need to be taken care of from the experts in those areas, whether it's security issues, other protections and everything, or scalability issues. But you need to be able to ship a product that can be used. Definitely, the better you do, the better your chances to work in different companies. And nowadays, a lot of interview processes or application stages, they require you to sort of talk about the products that you have built or shipped. So that's definitely something you need to do if you need to be in those top 10 to 20% of applicants.
Yeah. So, what about people who are early on in their career and they don't have a lot of professional experience to add on to their resume, right? What sort of personal project should they be working on, or what sort of things they should be adding to their resume or LinkedIn that would help them stand out?
Yeah. So if you're earlier in your stage, you need to have a mix of three things. One is any volunteer work that you do.
Okay.
That is something that can definitely add something that you can talk about. Any internships that you can do early stage, could be smaller startups, could be just one or two people projects where you are doing an internship, or build something of your own. So I think you need to have a mix of these three things. Could be one of the three, could be two of the three, or all three of them. And think about anything that you're passionate about, any problem that you think is not solved yet. I'm sure there are solutions out there, but you might not enjoy them the way you do. But let's say anything, if you're interested in sports and you want to make an application just for your friends circle related to a particular tournament that's happening, whether it's football World Cup or like cricket World Cup or whatever it is, just for that time frame, imagine I shipped out an application where you are in a group and everyone sort of talks about the tournament or who will be the highest scorer for this game or whatever, just a fun project that you can do within your team. Or imagine it's a bigger cause that you care about, whether it's health, whether it's literacy, whatever it is. Try to speak to the people who are also affected. So get those product management skills already. Try to how to conduct user interviews. You will go through this process. You don't go and you say, what do you need? You just talk about like proper understanding what the problem is.
Yeah.
And once you are beyond that, ship the product through any AI tool, ideally for free. So you save on the cost. Ship the product, let few users use it, get the feedback. So when you talk about your you can put it on your CV that I worked on this product, and here is the link of the product if you want to use it. And you'll have something to talk about the interview, something to put on your resume. I think a mix of these three could work.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. One more thing related to this. What do you think, how important do you think LinkedIn is, or your presence on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I would say for a few reasons. Being connected to your network, I think it's far more easier. If I didn't have LinkedIn, you didn't have my WhatsApp number, you texted me on LinkedIn, we worked together a few years back. So if I didn't have LinkedIn, it would probably be, it would have been harder for you to access me, for me to access you. So I think keeping in touch with your network of people that you have worked with is very, very important.
Yeah.
That's number one. Second is to build your network beyond the people that you already know. So connecting with, following the work of people who are influential in your field. So, they do their work, they publish, they share it on their LinkedIn profiles. So, you need to be sort of following their work. You can connect with other potential sort of connections or people that should be in your network. This is very important. Potential hiring managers, potential jobs that you can apply. It's like I think it's the biggest platform where for professional network, I would say. So I think you need to have a strong presence there. I'm not asking you to be creator if you are not comfortable with it immediately, but you need to be present there. Obviously, if you create content there, I'm not talking about cringe AI generated content, but something valuable is better. But at the same time, if this is not something you enjoy, this is not something you want to do right now, no problem at all. You just create your profile, you put your things that you have done, make it like achievement based sort of details there, put a nice summary out there, put a professional picture out there. So, it's like your digital card.
Yeah.
And apart from this, in the last 5 years, since my master's, all the roles that I have done have been through my LinkedIn applications. For instance, SadaPay, it was, but when I say LinkedIn application, I basically say like through LinkedIn. So SadaPay, it was, so their CTO, John Stewart, he was, John Shepard, sorry. He was in Berlin, so I DM'd him, and and I happened to be around the same city where he was, and then I met him. So this, for instance, was one example of me using my LinkedIn because I was aware of what was happening at SadaPay. I followed like their work. I was connected, at least on LinkedIn, with their leadership. And I DM'd them and met them in person and went ahead. So there was like me entering the world of Sada Pay or fintech through LinkedIn. My other experiences that came immediately after was because of the network I built eventually in Sada Pay. Afterwards, when I switched back to gaming, the recruiter approached me through LinkedIn. So I think majority of the things in today's world, because there's so much noise out there's so much happen through your network, which is usually present on LinkedIn, or other people who are looking for something and you are just there, and they'll do LinkedIn recruiters, they have their licenses and they look for certain applications and they'll DM you. So I would say it is one of the most essential tools that you need to have in today's world, often more essential than having a CV.
Yeah, I completely agree. I quickly want to move over to a small rapid fire. I'm going to give you two options and you can select any one of them. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Ship a buggy feature today or delay a perfect feature by a month?
Ship a buggy feature today. That would be my immediate response. However, it depends on the context. Imagine I'm working in fintech where people's money is involved. So what does this buggy feature do? Is it like essential component of my product where it affects the core journey? Then no, then clear it. But if it's something I want to shape, it's a nice to have feature and I want to get some user feedback, some users, playing around with it.
Yeah.
And this bug doesn't really ruin the entire experience, then yes, I would prefer to have it today and then work on improving. But again, it really depends on the context, on the feature. But I would always be a proponent of shipping fast.
Okay. Product strategy or product execution?
Product execution. Yeah.
Vision or discipline?
Discipline.
Intelligence or consistency?
Consistency.
Speed or perfection?
Speed.
Data or intuition?
That's a good one. Data.
User research or analytics?
User research, but it depends on the stage of the product.
Yeah. Startup or corporate?
Startup.
MBA or real world experience?
Real world experience.
Unlimited funding or unlimited talent?
Unlimited talent. Funding will follow.
Oh, nice. Jack of all trades or master of one? Another topic.
That's I think there's this thing like it's a good question. I don't remember that statement, but the complete statement is something else. Like it's like jack of all trade,
but at least master of one.
Yeah, exactly, something like this. I don't recall. It's a good question. I think here's the thing. Sorry, this is a rapid fire, but I'll explain.
Sure.
Your profile needs to be something like, at least in product management, it's supposed to be a T-shaped profile. What I mean by T-shaped is this: you need to understand basic of lots of areas, but ideally you need to be expert in one of those areas. This is how profiles actually work. And I think not just like product managers, but as a tech person, you should be aware of, let's say if you're a programmer, coder, you need to be aware of basics of product management. You need to be aware of basics of designs, and you need to be basics of other tech stacks that you, for example, if you are an iOS engineer, you need to be aware of basics of Android, or if you're an Android, you need to be aware of basics of iOS, some backend. But you need to have an expertise in one of these areas, whether it's design or product management or iOS. So yeah, it's. I think you need to be both. Actually, you need to be jack of all trades to a certain extent, but have to be master of one.
At least one, yeah. Great. Last from this rapid fire, that's meetings or async updates.
Async updates, because they take less toll. You can just quickly do it. You're not bound by time zone limitations. You don't need to meet for everything. Meeting takes like time of 10 people. Let's say a meeting of 10 people, and 10 into like 1 hour. It's like 10 hours of the company is being spent on something, and 7 or 8 people don't care. So yeah.
Okay. I'm going to head over to the next section of this rapid fire, in which you just need to give one word or one line answers. Yeah. It's
Okay.
open ended. So, what's one habit that changed your career?
Being curious.
What's one green flag in a candidate?
Passion.
What's one red flag in a candidate?
Being super laid back.
One thing universities should teach but don't.
Practicality, obviously, it's not all, but like I think more and more university need to have like their practical approach, not just academic. Students need to work on projects.
One skill that's underrated in 2026.
Communication.
What's one product lesson every founder should know?
Listening to users.
If you could give your 20-year-old self one sentence, what would it be?
Enjoy the process.
Nice. I think that's a good one. Okay, that was wonderful. I want to leave the ground open to you to say anything that you want or any advice you want to leave anyone who's listening to this, who's early on in their career and who wants to explore product.
I would say it has never been easier to do anything. Today, with the use of technology, with the use of AI, it has never been this easy to do anything. At the same time, because everyone is involved in doing lots of things, it has also not been like, it's also never been easier to stand out. So if you want to do something, you can easily do it. And everyone is almost doing it. But at the same time, doing it right, not many people are doing, because the pace of execution has gone really fast. Like, you can ship things very quickly. So everyone is focused on that, but you need to differentiate yourself, and you need to have some sort of defensibility in whatever you are doing. And different products have different levels of defensibility. And the strongest moat or defensibility today for me is distribution. So if you want to do something and want to make money out of it, it's not the development that is stopping you, it's the distribution.
Yeah.
If you find a way to distribute your product in a better way, that's something that would sort of differentiate you from others. Obviously, then there's other thing of retention and everything, but they come later. So I think distribution is something you should focus on as a product manager or as someone who want to build something.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Talha. It was wonderful having you.
Thank you so much, Kalsum. Wonderful talking to you. And I think also have to appreciate the way you structured this conversation. Very natural, very flowing. So I think I have to give you like credit for that.
Thank you. It's very kind of you.